You could start off by introducing yourself.
Okay, my name is Jeanette Harrison. I graduated from Scotlandville Junior Senior High School in 1959.
And how was it at Scotlandville in 1959?
Wonderful. I love my school then, I love my school now.
And how did it feel being the first Miss Scotlandville?
Now, how did you know that?
I read about it.
An honor. I don't take that lightly. I'm very proud of my high school experience and of all of my achievements, and that is one that I really appreciate.
So how did campaigning and stuff go, like, back then?
Well, different from the way it's done now. Back then, well, first of all, it was the first contest, and it was really a fundraiser. Because the football team needed new uniforms, a band, they just needed to make money. So what happened, the student body nominated a person to run for that position, Miss Scotlandville. And I was nominated along with other students. And then we had to compete and raise money because it was a fundraiser. So that's how it differed from the way it is today. We didn't have voting machines and all of that. However, the activities were the same then as they are now. We had a homecoming parade, we had a homecoming football game, we had a coronation. All of that is still the same today as it was back then.
And you know anything about how the community was back then?
Yeah, I lived in a community.
Oh, so tell me about the community.
The community was far different from what you have now. Most, if not all, most of the businesses, we had a few that weren't, but most of the businesses in Scotlandville were owned by the residents of Scotlandville, black people. So we had a bus line, we had a pharmacy, we had grocery stores, cleaners, taxi cabs, barber shops. My uncle, Benjamin Harrison, had the first tailoring school in Scotlandville. So there were a lot of different businesses. People owned things. And a very close-knit community where folks looked out for one another. So it's different from the way you see it now. They were all property owners. You didn't see a lot of people that rented property. They owned the property. So yeah, and it's a very educated community, with Southern being right there. Everybody would aspire to go to college, and not everybody, I don't mean everybody, but the majority of the people. It was an educational community.
And Scotlandville, how did it look back then compared to now?
Oh, real different. As far as you can imagine, we didn't have the highways and like you have now. We had open drainage. It was typical of the time back then. But like I said, it was a very prosperous community. So we didn't know any different. That's all we had. So for us, it was a great community. Along Scotland Avenue, right now, the businesses along there were, it's typical of the time, but it was booming.
And what about you? You went here when they changed it to Magnet, or?
I was here, but I was an adult.
And how did you feel about that?
Didn't like it. I wasn't opposed to it becoming a magnet, but what I was opposed to is that the children were bused out of the community to other schools outside of the community where they weren't necessarily wanted, which made it hard for the students to be successful in a place where people really didn't want them to be. That was my objection, not objection to the magnet school, but it should have been like it is now with the community involvement as well. Because the children who were part of the magnet program didn't live in the community. They came, dropped off the interstate, went to school, and went on about their business. And our students who were not part of the magnet program were bused to other schools, and then they come back and it was nothing for them. So.
And Scotlandville, wait, let me get a question. Oh yeah, what would you hope that Scotlandville can do now to make it look better?
The community?
Yeah.
Well, we have to recover what we lost. And that is going to involve entrepreneurship. People need to become more business-minded. Young people now need to focus on rebuilding the community. See, I'm too old. So we're gonna need new blood to change things around and make it better. And I believe you're gonna be seeing a lot more of that, where people are taking pride in the community and start to build it up.